right, UvaldeRadio.net. We are live at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles, 2429 Milam Street in North Uvalde. I want to make sure my mics are working here. Let's see here. Check one. Yep, we are on the air. So we're here with the owner, Kyle, right? You're the owner, right?
That's me.
So let's go ahead and get into this, make sure we get the full story. First of all, Kyle, what's your story as far as being a Uvaldean, a business owner, a person of Uvalde?
My wife and I moved to Uvalde in 2007 with work, and it was a midpoint between all of our families and basically all of Texas. So there's good access to everybody. We could get to everybody within a couple hours drive, so we decided this is where we were going to set up camp.
So where are the areas of Texas that your family is kind of located in?
Mostly North Texas, Fort Worth, Stephenville, Dublin, Greenville, all along the North Texas corridor. And then we lived down in the valley for a long time, so we got a lot of friends and family, down there too.
So yeah, this is kind of a good middle spot, awesome. Right. So at what point did you decide to get involved and I guess start your own business here in town?
Well, both of my grandmothers on both sides were into antiques. I've been raised around swap meets and antique shops since I could walk.
Wow.
And I knew that once I retired, that was something that I wanted to do. I did not necessarily have my own shop. I always kind of thought about having a pawn shop or something like that, just because I like talking to people and I like cool stuff. And this opportunity presented itself, and my wife was willing to support me, so here we are.
Now speaking of pawn shops and antique stores and whatnot, I mean, it's changed a lot ever since they started making TV shows, and it's kind of a cultural phenomenon, have you seen, and again, you were raised, if your grandparents were into it, have you seen that kind of develop? It used to be we're just kind of little old ladies shop antiques, right? And now it's a lot different, right?
That's a fact. The TV shows, it's a plus and a minus. It's brought a lot of attention to our type of business. It's made it more difficult to get some of those great deals out there. Everybody, it seems like people are more aware of, what good stuff is.
Right. It's like having a lot more people invited to the scavenger hunt, right?
Right, exactly.
When only a few people know, then there's more pickings, right?
Right.
And so.
But I'm glad that more people are introduced, to the idea of, old stuff is not junk. There's history, there's culture, there's all kinds of things that are involved in the stuff. And I'm glad that it's kind of helped people realize, that the stuff can go on for generations and generations.
I feel like, I'm part of the 70s, 80s, 90s generation where we were all about, technology was making leaps and bounds during those years. So I think we tend to embrace technology, and in some ways, like you said, old stuff's not trash. Maybe there was a little bit of that, I guess, consumerism in the way I was raised. And I feel like the younger generations now, who are a little bit more, they're a little bit greener, they're a little more mindful of recycling and repurposing and whatnot. Do you feel like that's also having something to do with, taking something old and restoring it or making it a project?
That's a good point. We talk about furniture is a great example. Even, pretty standard furniture in the 40s and 50s, you can't buy at any price the quality now, new. Right. They just simply don't make things like they used to, like everybody says. And furniture's a great example. This furniture that was built, at the turn of the century on up through the 70s, if it's taken care of, will last forever as long as you take care of it. And I think that's important. That's one of the... it's not an intentional, it's not, I'm not an environmental crusader.
Right,
but
it
is definitely a major upside to our business. And I think the young people that are into the stuff like you were talking about, are starting to recognize you can't buy anything at any price with the same quality as what you used to get pretty much every day at the furniture store.
I would imagine it'd be a satisfying feeling for you to know that you're giving new life to things, and what you're doing here is not only fun and exciting and engaging, but really what you're doing is you're also limiting emissions and you're saving trees. There's a whole lot of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, there's a ripple effect, I think, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's there's something to that, and that's one of the plus sides. Well, another aspect of this business that I really enjoy is, we're kind of a format for smaller businesses to sell their stuff. So we, as owners of the business and whole, rent out space to individual dealers who are in themselves smaller businesses.
Right.
And to me, that is one thing that is really important, and I think a cornerstone of our economy moving forward is individuals stepping up and taking care of themselves and, paving their own way.
It is especially, I think, relevant here in Uvalde, where properties, the prices are it's a little tough to get into a space. There's a lot of property that's kind of just been owned generationally by people that they're not doing anything with. It's hard to get into a space these days. So having that option and giving these people a leg up to move up and develop their business, and maybe in the hopes that they have a place like this of their own one day, it's got to be a pretty fantastic idea. So let's go and get back to we got your history of coming here. When was the idea birthed to start this particular location or move here? Well, or what was the prerequisite before this? I'm sure you moved from a different location.
Yeah,
right?
we started out at Antiques on the Square, which is now Horner's,
right.
And we loved that location. We loved being there, and but we kind of outgrew it. We got to a point, me and my partner Trina, we had each developed our business to such an extent that we were basically taking over that whole place. We needed more space for ourselves.
So for those who had been in there before, at what area would you say was yours? Pretty much
the tea room and a good portion of the north wall and a good portion of downstairs, as a matter of fact. And then Trina was over on the south wall upstairs and had a good portion of the upstairs as well. But I retired about 2 years before my wife did. So as soon as I retired and kind of started getting into it over there, it spooled up real quick and was pretty obvious that, we could do some good with it. And she was definitely not on board with anything of this magnitude until she had a chance to retire, because she is definitely our IT and managerial oversight, if you will.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah. You need that.
It's not all fun and games, and somebody's got to keep everything on track.
So let's talk about that transition from you being a guest in somebody else's space to actually getting your own space and becoming that leader of the building. What were some of the hurdles in that whole?
Well, it was really pretty smooth. I started out as a dealer, and I knew what I wanted in somebody, to help support me as I was getting started, to cut me some slack when I needed it, or to give me some guidance on how to price stuff or how to merchandise stuff, or what was selling good or things like that. So I just I've always been a fan of helping somebody out that needed it, and in this capacity, it's just been a natural fit. I think most everybody appreciates the relationship that we all have, and it's very family-like, and I'm glad to be able to provide the opportunity. I'm glad to be able to do it.
Well, you've got a lot of great items inside there. You've got really great people in there. It's a warm, environment to come into. Let's talk about the building. Where did you have your sights set on it? I know that the Lone Star Saloon had kind of been waffling or struggling for quite some time. At what point did you go, hey, that's my place?
When we first moved to Uvalde, obviously the Lone Star, was a part of our lives before we started having kids and everything. We were just starting our family when we moved here, so we still had a few nights out on the town before we had the kids. And Lone Star was definitely a big part of that. It was a great venue. We saw so many great acts here, and so we started looking for property. And like you said, there's not a lot of turnover. There's not a lot of availability, and especially for something with the square footage that this place has.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of one of those things that was meant to be. We talked to Joe and Kathy at the right time, and they were ready to retire and move on to their next chapter, and we were ready to start ours. So it was just like it was supposed to happen, and it was pretty seamless.
That's probably kind of cool that, like I said, that you were a customer, and you have memories here too, and that's got to mean something. I know when I walked in before, they had even left some old autograph posters from some pretty good Texas country artists. Well, what kind of gems did the Lone Star leave behind?
Well, Joe was pretty protective of a lot of that stuff, and but we did get a couple of good things from Roger Krieger, Pat Green. Golly, I've got a couple of Kevin Fowler.
Wow,
there's some good Texas music.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
Yeah, very cool.
But he had a really great collection of Texas music history in there, and he still has it.
So let's talk about getting the stuff in here. What was that like? Cleaning it up, getting it ready, and then moving all your stuff in.
We had to move a little bit of the technical stuff out of the way. The sound system, there was a lot of electricity, as you well know, to push all that stuff. That if you're not using it for that purpose, is really a liability. So cleaning up some of the technical stuff was the major hurdle. Physically, as far as the infrastructure of the building, we haven't done anything yet. We still have a few plans. As a honky-tonk or live venue, where you serve cold beer, you've got to have lots of places for that to go.
Right.
We don't need, 80 bathrooms anymore. So that's one of the major hurdles.
Wow.
Is transforming that space into usable retail space. So we're taking our time with that. So
that's a lot of urinals on that.
so we can deal with it in the right way.
Oh, wow. So what? Any plans as to what that space would become? Just
the idea would be for it to be as open as possible, for it to be as much of an open shell as possible. But this is, when you look at it from the outside, it looks like one big red building, but it's about seven buildings.
Yeah.
It was several different structures at individual times. There was even a liquor store right here.
That's awesome.
Separated from, I think it was Scotty's, and I'm sure there's some old timers out there that can set us straight on that. But I think it was during the time of Scotty's. It was an individual bar, and then there was a liquor store right next to it.
There's an idea. We can always use another liquor store around here. I'm just saying, But again, we got Kyle here. He's the owner of the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles, 2429 Milam Street, if I'm not mistaken. Come on out here. The ribbon cutting is going to be happening here pretty soon at 11 o'clock, and I'm assuming the Uvalde Area Chamber of Commerce.
That's a fact.
We'll be on site here, so we look forward to seeing John and his crew. Let's go ahead and talk about the opening. I know that you had kind of a grand opening planned, and then we had a terrible tragedy here in town. So you guys did what any good businessman and anybody with a heart with the community would do, and just kind of postponed it out of respect. How was that? I guess we call soft opening. How's it been since then?
Well, it other than the obvious, as far as business wise, it's flowed very well. We obviously felt that it was not appropriate to have some big celebration at that time. We wanted to stay open and stay available for when people felt like they needed to get out. We could be there, and I was happy that we had that opportunity that we could do that. We have done our advertising and everything is normal, and we had a good word of mouth and good following at the Antiques on the Square. So it worked out pretty good.
So you got a lot of the same faces, easy transition. Are you making? Have you felt an influx of new customers and new interest?
Yeah. The traffic pattern's a little different here than on the Square. Different types of travelers. So we're getting people that are
just to kind of pull over and antique store.
Look at this. What is that? And so yes, a lot of new faces that I anticipate will become regulars.
And that's an interesting. Point, because as a Uvaldean who lives in the city, proper, I thought to myself, wow, that's kind of a little north. It's a little outside of our regular territory, but antiquers, man, they are highway milers. You know what I mean? They'll make the drive, right? So, and they'll pull over.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's
you have
really
to be
cool.
If you're in this business or casually even. You know that you're going to drive a couple of 100 miles, and the husband knows he's got to be ready to pull over at any minute. So we count on that.
Well, speaking of the business, let's go ahead and get a quick behind-the-scenes look at how you source this stuff. Do you find yourself, what is it as an antiquer, dealer? Do you have people that bring stuff to you? Do you go out looking for it actively? What is your average day as far as how you source?
I'm not going to get too specific.
Okay. You want to give away any secrets? Sure, of course.
No, I'm just being silly. Everything you can imagine. I mean, everything you see on the TV shows. We go out, we dig through barns, we go to garage sales, estate sales. People bring stuff to us, you name it.
Wow.
And that's we go to a lot of auctions and stuff like that. My deal now. When I was first starting out, I tried to grab as much stuff as possible. Now I, have refined my taste a little bit
Right.
and try and grab a hold of more interesting pieces that that you don't see every day. And they're hard to come by, so it's harder to find those stuff than a lot of like say China, stuff like that. You can find just about anywhere, but it gets tougher the more focused or the higher quality stuff that you're trying to find. But
now,
so you got to stay active.
So tell me this, just out of curiosity, you're out there, you're looking for stuff that's coming across your desk, so to speak. Two-part question: what is the item that just blew you away, like on a personal level, like it just took you down memory lane, whether it was like a Stretch Armstrong or that childhood toy or whatever? Mm-hmm. And what is like the most, I guess, hidden treasure, like valuable thing that you've come across?
I'm gonna say probably watches. Watches, they can pack an amazing amount of value in a remarkably small item.
Wow! But
the thing that gets me the most is pinball machines and coin-operated vending machines. I don't know why, but that's what that's what fires up the nostalgia in me. I don't really understand it. But
now, is there anything that you're constantly, whether it's in the back of your mind or consciously, that you're actually looking for specifically, like a specific item that from your childhood or that a family member is like, hey, we got to have this if you come across it?
Wurlitzer.
Gotcha.
A 1950s Wurlitzer.
Oh, that is so awesome. That's fantastic. Very cool. Well, Kyle, it's been really cool talking to you about this, again, ribbon cutting ceremony. Are there any details for anybody out there that's planning to come by this afternoon that they need to know about the details of what's going on inside?
We're going to be here just like every other day. We're going to celebrate the commerce aspect with the Chamber of Commerce and our business partners in the community. We've got some snacks, and we've got our stuff, and we'll be here till at least 5 and maybe hang out a little longer if that's what it looks like needs to happen.
Well, right on. And as far as those who maybe they can't make it out today, what's the best way to find you guys online or on social media? Give us that information.
We're on Facebook at the Saloon Antiques, and we are here every day. We open at noon on Sundays, and we open at 10 every other day.
Right on. Well, is there anything else we need to get out before I start talking to before we get some vendors out here or whatever, talk about what they got going on?
I think we've covered it all. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you for having us out here. It's a real honor and pleasure to be a part of your big day. So thanks again. We're going to wrap it up here with Kyle. He's going to get back in and do his thing, and we're going to play some more music. This is UvaldeRadio.net. Again, we are live at the Saloon, Antiques and Collectibles, 2429 Milan Street, North Uvalde. Come out and see us. This is UvaldeRadio.net. UvaldeRadio.net, Robert Miguel, once again live here on the scene at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles, 2429 Milam Street, North Uvalde. The location where the old Lone Star Saloon used to be. They probably hate me saying that, but it's just a good reference point. Everybody knows that place. So I'm here with Trina. She's the manager of this whole monster. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you're the head chick in charge, as they say, right?
One of them, yes.
So tell me this. First of all, we know that the new location here has been open for a few months now. Were you right from the very beginning, part of the original crew?
Yes, I was. Kyle and I both, along with several of our current dealers, were with Antiques on the Square, which is now Horner's. And as Kyle mentioned before, we love that place. I mean, that's where my passion came from for this business. But
you outgrew it, and that happens, right?
We did. And, I started with one space over there, a 10 by 10 space, and now I can't even tell you how much space I have now.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So how long were you at Horner's, and then what brought you into this particular business?
My husband and I were there for about 10 years. Wow. And I became the manager over there once the business, the building changed hands, and then Kyle and Vanessa bought this place, and it just made sense to me to come along with them, and never looked back. It's just been amazing.
Now, I asked Kyle about this a little bit earlier, but from your vantage point, what were some of the biggest obstacles from making the transition?
Packing and unpacking.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
And finding a space for every little item that you've got.
And everything's got value, so you need to make sure it doesn't get broken, right?
Absolutely. Even though it's just a few miles down the road, yes, we had to pack and unpack. And
now, did you do it yourself? Did you hire movers? How did that work?
We hired movers for the big items, but we have more small items, obviously, than the large ones. But that helped out tremendously as well.
So I bet you don't want to know from bubble wrap from nothing, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's cool. So what? Give me an example of some of the really high value items that made the transition that you had to be really careful in transporting.
Oh, some of the higher valuable glass items the antique furniture with glass with the antique glass in it. That was a nail-biting experience, but I just kind of turned my back to it and let the movers do that.
So I got to ask, any casualties? Anything didn't make it over?
Not on my end.
Okay.
I don't know. I think maybe there was a few little things that got broken of other dealers, but nothing major.
Well, so inside, and as far as your space and the stuff that you're aware of that you know, what's some good finds in there right now that you're just excited you want to brag about?
Oh, well, personally, of course, everybody has vintage and some antique items, and we just currently, myself and my husband, are selling Cowhide Rugs.
Okay.
That's one of our new items.
I saw those online. They're beautiful.
Yes,
Very
they
cool.
are. They're beautiful. And we have cowboy boots and hats and vintage clothing. Of course, a lot of beautiful glassware and just everything. I get excited over all of it.
Are there items that that are your kind of wheelhouse that you kind of really like that you like to market and sell, or will you find anything that you feel like is a value?
Really, anything that I think is a value. We do cast iron, just records, vintage records. That we get excited over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna before I leave, I'm gonna check out whatever vinyl
Awesome.
you guys got
Okay, I'll get you a
haunting
good
that
deal.
place. So awesome, yeah. I'm gonna take you up on that. Being a DJ, we're broke, so any deal I can get. So what else is there to know about today's events that people that if they're listening at work or at home, what's just a good piece of information they need to know?
Well, we're open 7 days a week, and so there are no excuses from not being able to come out at some point. But what I get
if I may interject real quick, thank you. There's just I know that the Lord says we need a day of rest, but you can pick another day, I think. But there's just not enough businesses in Uvalde. I feel like if you're going to open a business, be open.
Yeah.
Because it ultimately, and I had this conversation with Mr. Uhas from the chamber that to really service your customer, you have to be available to them. You shouldn't be when it's convenient for you.
Right.
So 7 days a week. That's I know that's big city thinking, but it's good because it's a smaller world now, and we appreciate that.
People need something to do on their downtime.
Yeah.
And this is such a cool place just to come and hang out or shop. We have things in every little nook and cranny of the store.
And that downtime happens on the weekends, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So any other information that you need to get out there as far as what your potential customers, maybe someone who hasn't ever been here before or hasn't been antiquing, any advice you'd give them before they make a visit?
Anything that you have a passion about, that you run across, I don't know, just go for it.
Yeah.
It's. I never thought that I would be in this business, but now that I'm in it, you can't tear me away from it. People give me a hard time because I'm always here, and like I said, it's just a cool place.
Well,
to
you live
be.
and breathe it. That's so cool. That's exciting. What is your favorite part of the job of the industry?
I think the people.
Yeah.
We. Especially when we first opened the doors, and even today, we get people out here that have never been here before, and hearing the oohs and ahs when they walk through the door, and hearing their memories about coming in this place and drinking beer and dancing. It's just cool to hear the stories, because I personally had never came out here when it was open.
Gotcha.
But I grew up in places very similar to this, so those stories are...
But I would think that also the selling experience would be something like, okay, so for instance, I used to work at record stores, and there was just a really satisfying feeling of when you get that product, and whether it's a song, an album, an item that maybe they've been looking for, or maybe they just came across it and didn't realize that they wanted it, but now they've got to have it. You've got to have those moments.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you just see the joy, right? They light up like, oh my gosh, I'm taking this home to Nana right now.
Yes, and that just confirms what the hard work that we go through in finding these items. hearing people say, "Oh my gosh, my grandmother had this," and this is this is going to add to my collection that I have at home. It's the stories and the people and the sales, obviously. Yeah, it's all goes hand in hand.
Well, obviously you love it, you live it, and congratulations on your opening here. Again, we are at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles, 2429 Milam Street. The ribbon cutting is going to be happening here in moments. It's 10:53 right now. So 11 o'clock, the ribbon cutting with the Uvalde Area Chamber of Commerce. So you might want to get back and get your thing going on.
Thank you so
We're going
much.
to get back into some music. Chris Stapleton, little Tennessee whiskey. We are UvaldeRadio.net, and we are live at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles. UvaldeRadio.net, Robert Miguel. Once again, we're coming at you live from Saloon Antiques and Collectibles, 2429 Milam Street, North Uvalde, the old site for the Lone Star Saloon nightclub. And we just heard some Merle Haggard and the Strangers right there. And I'm Robert here. Speaking of just fantastic musicians, I've got Mr. Britt Wyrick in the house.
Thank you.
Stepping up to the mic, sir. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great, man. It's cool to see you here doing your thing. A lot of times you'll come in and help us out with a Friday Night Live show at the at Broadway 830 or Hangar 6 Air Cafe. So most people know you from your antiquing or your performing, right?
That's right.
Ever in a place where you do both?
It's happened, yes, sir. I played at Friday nights at a Foursquare Friday at Horner's or.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, you sure have.
For sure.
So before we get into what's going on here, give us a quick update on the music. Any cool gigs coming up? Or
I've been playing in LaGrange a lot.
LaGrange, cool.
Beth Johnson and Andy. Anyway, they've opened a little bar over there called The Crown, and it's this tiny little bar. It's a cool venue, historic building down there, and it's real. It's quaint. I like it. Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, there's some history there, too, so very cool. Nice trip there. Anything local coming up, or regional, just in this area?
Man, the antiques thing has been so busy that it's hard to get moving, between the kids and the hauling junk around, and it's...
Well, let's get into it, man. Let's go ahead and briefly talk about, like we've done with everybody else. What's your history in the antiquing industry, in the business?
Well, Jan and I have been doing this, probably 5 years now.
Wow, okay.
It was... Marlo Downing that actually got me into it. He wanted to split a booth up at Horner's. He had a little bit of stuff to get rid of and wanted to share a booth, so it kind of started there. And now we have more space than a lot.
Now, when you first started out, did you just have stuff that you wanted to get rid of, or did you actively go seeking out product?
I have a collector gene, a collector bug. So, yeah, I have stuff.
You've always been that guy that kind of sees the hidden value in certain things and just kind of...
That happened, yes, sir.
Wow, very cool. So, and how did that, I guess, inventory grow over the years? Did you dive in head first, or did you feel it kind of slowly taking over your existence?
Yeah. Kind of both of that.
Really?
I have my own collections of stuff that I don't want to get rid of, and then all of a sudden you have more stuff than you actually know what to do with, and it's got to go somewhere.
And it goes into a category of like what I'll part with and what I won't part with, right?
Yeah. And then even you have to even the stuff that you do want.
There's always a price.
At some point you have to start. You get a better piece and can replace something in yours and.
See, you're speaking of the record collector in me, and I'm sure that antiquing has a lot to do with that. Let's go and talk about some of the items, the wares that you have. What's going on inside?
Man, we don't have... our only rule is if we think it's cool, somebody else thinks it's cool.
Okay.
So, I don't have a real laser niche.
You don't have like a wheelhouse of stuff. It's kind of rando.
There's stuff that we know about or know something about, but generally... That's it. If we see it and think it's cool, then it's probably getting loaded up.
Give me a bullet list of like a few cool items that you know that are like, hey, these are cool items. People need to check these out.
Man, right now inside I have a 18th, 19th century Indian dowry chest. That's just it's ironclad, huge ironclad chest. I've got a couple banana seat muscle bikes from back in the day.
Oh, banana seats. Well, those are cool.
Pyrex. I got into Pyrex at some point. Anyway, yeah, I collect that. I collect that Pyrex, and my kids call it my old lady dishes and make fun of me, but I don't care.
You know, I'm going to go in and buy some. My daughter actually broke a Pyrex dish here recently, and I've got to replace it. We've been talking about that, so that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. So, you know, I guess getting back to your I guess, mark on the industry. Apparently, because you were at Horner's,
yes, sir.
Why the decision to come over here and join Kyle in the group?
Man, you know, Kyle was... everything was in flux, and Kyle was already kind of looking, and it just made sense. And we actually came over here with them before the ink was signed, and Kyle said, you know, what do y'all think? And looking at the empty room, it was hard to envision how it was going to go down, but it came together nicely and quick.
And now, as we touched on, you are a local and regional performer, so you're a musician.
Yes, sir.
So this has to be kind of special to you, since it's the old Lone Star Saloon. I'm sure at some point you probably dipped in and played a show at the Lone Star, right?
I never did play the
You
Lone
didn't,
Star.
huh? I'm surprised.
I've seen a show or two at the Lone Star,
Yeah.
but I never was on the stage.
So, I mean, a lot of musical history, so that's kind of got to be a little,
It's still pretty cool. Lots of
kinda
cool beer
thing.
signs, lots of cool. It's cool bar vibe.
Uh-huh. So what else do we need to talk about, Britt? We got Britt Wyrick here. He's one of the many awesome vendors here at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles. We're broadcasting live here for the ribbon cutting ceremony. And any other information, man, you need to get out there before we get back to some music?
I will shameless plug. We're doing Round Top this year. I'm going to be in the Bar W field. I'm actually going to be next to Trina's sister Terry over there. October 13 to the 30th is the real run date. So I'm going to be basically camped out over there. Y'all come buy some stuff.
Very cool. All right. Well, again, Britt Wyrick here at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles. We're UvaldeRadio.net, and we are live. Let's get back into some music. Little Luke Bryan for you. UvaldeRadio.net, it's Robert Miguel. We are live at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles located at 2429 Milam Street, North Uvalde. That's a big old truck coming by. Woo! Live radio outside. But it's actually a beautiful fall day. I can say that now. It's fall in Southwest Texas, which we love it. I mean, we love our summers, but, man, it's nice to have the cooler weather here. So we're broadcasting live till at least noon. Come on in and step inside and see the awesome collectibles, antiques, cast iron, cowhides, hats, boots, jewelry, vintage toys, vinyl records, coins, pottery, art, and so much more. And while you're here, you can meet a celebrity while she's got time to be here. We've got Miss Rodeo Texas teen Syndilyn Maguglin. Did I say that right?
Almost.
Oh, man. Maguglin.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Maguglin. All right, here we go. Syndilyn. I'm going to play that from now on. All right. Syndilyn, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
So it's radio, so no one can see you out there, but you are absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to be creepy. You're a teenager, obviously. That's a title, but you're absolutely beautiful. You're so decked out, and you're cool. Like this Western jacket. What are you wearing? That's awesome.
Goodness, so this is my Rick Rageous jacket, and
Okay.
it's actually a perpetual item of clothing that I got when I was crowned, meaning that all the past queens sign on the inside with a nice note of encouragement, and then we pass it down to the next girl.
Oh my gosh, how awesome is that? Yeah. That's so cool. And then you got your sash.
Yes, sir.
And a really cool hat, and that hat is basically, it's almost like a crown because it's got the emblem, the title on it and everything
Yes,
too, right?
sir.
So is that what the crown is? Is it a cowboy? Is it a cowgirl hat? Cowboy
Yes.
hat?
Well, no, the crown is like a pin that you pin into the hat.
Okay.
And this is actually the new crown, so I'm the second queen to get to wear the new crown, which is really exciting. It's also perpetual, so you pass it down, and lots of girls get to wear it, so it's full of history.
So you got to take good care of it too, right?
Yes, sir.
Not like a Stanley Cup, you can't beat it all up and everything, right? So let's go and talk about your title again. We've got Miss Rodeo Texas Teen here. So how first of all, it's a year long. Is that how you get
Yes,
to do it?
sir.
What was the road to becoming Miss Rodeo Texas Teen?
Yes, so I prepared for Miss Rodeo Texas Teen for the past 5 years of my life, and I recently won it in the summer, and it was a week-long process against the best girls in the state, and at the end of the long judging process, they decided who was most fit for the title. And I will be representing it from this past June to next June, and it's just been great. You know, I've prepared for it in many different ways, like riding random draw horses. I did the 50-horse challenge, and then interviewing a bunch of different people like you just to get more comfortable talking to all the judges.
Now, when people hear Miss this or Miss that, hat, and they see the sash, they think pageantry and whatnot. So was there some of that involved, or is it more like riding and being a cowgirl kind of thing?
Goodness, it's both. So
Really?
50% of the score is a horsemanship pattern. So it's a reining pattern that we do, and you do it on a random horse. And then you have the other 50 points are broken down in between modeling, interviews, extemporaneous speaking, and many more impromptu questions throughout the week.
So what was the most difficult aspect of getting geared up for the competition?
For me, it was the horsemanship. You know, you're riding two different horses that you've never ridden. And if you saw me, I'm kind of short. I'm 5 foot, and it's always my luck. I draw the tallest or the biggest horse.
Oh, yeah.
But it was awesome. I ended up drawing two really phenomenal horses, and I won horsemanship. So that was a big accomplishment.
Very, very cool. So you've been on the gig since June.
Yes, sir.
So far, give me some highlights of some exciting things you've been able to do so far.
Yeah, so I got to go to the Comanche Springs Rodeo and pass down the title to the new girl, and then I got to go. We had a fundraising event for the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo kids, and that was a total blast. I've got to do so many cool things. You know, this is one of them. My next event will be the SWTJC Rodeo and then the Seguin Rodeo. So
Southwest Texas Junior College Rodeo is next weekend, October 7th and 8th at the Uvalde County Fairplex, the 60th annual. So that's going to be an honor to be involved in that,
yes,
right?
Yes, sir. I'm so excited. I'll be carrying the SWTJC flag in front of everybody. So
from what I understand, you're a student at the junior college as well, too?
Yes, sir.
So what are you studying over there?
I'm studying wildlife management. I'm in their wildlife management program, and I'm in my sophomore year, so this will be my last run with them. It's been a total blast. You get to do some of the best things. You know, Southwest Texas Junior College is top 10, so that really drew me towards their program, and we do so many hands-on activities, and hopefully my goal is to become a wildlife biologist.
Well, it sounds like you're a very busy young lady. How do you balance all of these things between school and you know, being a queen or, you know, all that stuff?
Time management, my gosh. I work 2 jobs. I have a small leather business, and I Miss Rodeo Texas teen, and then I have school on top of that. So maintaining my good grades and just work schedule, it's just being really on time for everything and punctual.
Wow.
I really value a planner, so I write down everything, and I know where I need to be, when I need to be there, and I make it work.
Well, as busy as you are, we really appreciate you carving out some time to be here with us today at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles. It's really an honor to talk to you. It's a real treat. So let's get to this leather business of yours. Is it like a side hustle, kind of is it like a fashion leather kind of thing, or what are you doing there?
Well, I create custom leatherworks for cowboys and cowgirls.
Cool.
So whether it's repairing a saddle, making a custom belt, or just doing anything from earrings to purses to knife scabbards or gun scabbards, I pretty much do everything. My grandpa really got me into that, and it's a really fun thing to do, especially when you get to make your own stuff. And
so is this like, because I mean, I'm older, so my dad, we used to go to Tandy Leather, what I mean, buy the tools. Is it like that kind of stuff?
Yes, sir.
More on the decorative, the decorative kind of side, or
yes,
is it more like stitching and or a little bit of both? Wow.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I really like the artsy part of it, kind of be creative. My grandmother was an artist, so I think I inherited some of her artistic skills through that, and then of course all the hammering and cutting and all that fun stuff.
It's tedious work, though, right?
It is.
Yeah. Well, so what are some examples of some of the I guess the items that you're most proud of? And is there a place that we can see them online to
yes.
check them
so Syndilyn Leather. It's just my name and then leather.
You're gonna have to spell Syndilyn because I know it's kind of crazy,
okay,
right?
It's SYNDILYN.
Okay.
Leather on Facebook and Instagram, and I even have a website. I post all sorts of things, earrings. I do lapels on jackets for a lot of my rodeo stuff. I guess I'm not wearing any of my own stuff today, but I also do stash magnets, and I send them to girls across the country. So I have leather in almost all of the states, so that's really cool.
That's fantastic. Again, we're talking to Miss Rodeo Texas teen, Syndilyn Maguglin, and thank you so much for coming out here today. Again, look for her next weekend, October 7th and 8th. Which days? You're going to be there one day or two?
I'll be at the Southwest Texas Junior College Rodeo on Friday, and then I will be in Seguin at the PRCA Rodeo on Saturday.
And so what other upcoming events do you have beyond that? Do you have your schedule yet? Or?
Yes, sir. So besides rodeoing, I'm having several fundraising events through the Miss Rodeo Texas Board and San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. I will also be in Vegas supporting my girl Bailey Simpson, Miss Rodeo Texas, and so many more things throughout next year.
So as far as your job, are there certain things that you're out to promote? Like what if you had to, if your superiors, I guess, do they make you talk about certain whether it's charitable causes or, is there something you've got to plug real quick to make sure that you get that information out?
Mainly just rodeo. As rodeo queens, we are supposed to be the advocator for rodeo. And my thing is I really want to help protect and preserve my Western heritage. I'm a 6th-generation rancher, so really just protecting and honing in on this is our land and we need to take care of it. And as women and ranchers, we can do anything as long as we get to the basics of it is really important to me.
Now, as we've developed as a species, as a human race, women can do many more things now than they used to in past generations. However, there is kind of a mass exodus as far as agriculture and, that whole life. I think that especially in the farming and the cattle industry, it's a lot of work and the payoff is not quite like it used to be. The glory days might be behind us, you could argue.
Yes.
So it is harder to keep younger people in your generation and beyond in these industries. Is it hard to speak to your generation, to your people, and keep them engaged in what you're doing here? Because a lot of them just want to be influencers now and
Yes, sir.
make YouTube channels and it's a different world.
I think it can be hard whenever you're trying to connect with people who didn't grow up the way you did. I grew up on a ranch. I never really left the ranch till I came to college, and now I'm working on more ranches, so I'm still in my element. I grew up with brothers, so I feel like as a woman, it's not any different for me because I grew up with brothers and we just roughhoused and everything was a competition. So I'm very competitive in that way. I think the way that we could reach people that are not really interested in it is social media. It can be used in a really positive way. They want to be a YouTube influencer. There's so many wildlife and agricultural YouTube pages and influencers through that they could find some really cool interests in it.
But isn't the challenge the work? Because it's actually work.
Oh, it's definitely
we
work.
all know that most influencers, it's all about optics. It's about what the image, not what you're actually doing in life, not actually what you own or what you do or where you go. It's about how that image looks temporarily on the screen. And the thing is, what you're doing requires talent, hard work, determination, man hours, So, it's obviously a tough job that you're doing, but you seem like a fit young lady to do it. So very cool. Congratulations. I guess anything else that you got to mention before we wrap it up and get back into some music?
Well, I'm just really thankful for you guys to have me out. This is a really cool place. I actually recently came in and bought one of my favorite vintage Double D jackets. So you guys will see me wearing that.
Yeah, before we went on there,
the
you said you were a customer here already,
yes.
right? Yeah, so very cool. So anything in there that you got your eyes on here at the Saloon Antiques?
Not yet, but I keep coming back looking for some more vintage finds.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor and pleasure talking to you. Where else can we, you mentioned your leather site. Is there any other place we can find you online?
Yes, Miss Rodeo Texas has a Facebook page, and they post about all three of us, and then MissRodeoTexas.com, as well as you're going to see all of us at the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo in February, so just keep your eye out. Again,
we got Miss Rodeo Texas teen, Syndilyn Maguglin here. Thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate you. Everybody find her online, and look for, we're going to have some photos on our Facebook page as well, too, so find Uvalde Radio on Facebook. Thank you so much for spending time with us, okay?
Thank you.
Going to get back into some music. This is a nice lady who does some rodeo herself. Morgan Ashley, Texas country artist out of College Station, one called Rodeo Cowboy, and we are UvaldeRadio.net. UvaldeRadio.net. Robert Miguel once again live at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles, 2429 Milam Street. A little 90s country there for you. X's and O's. Trisha Yearwood. We always bringing you the best of Nashville from the 90s to now, and the most Texas country and red dirt music as well. And again, we're here live at the Saloon Antiques. Y'all come by and see us. They're open till 5 or 6 today, right? 5? 5 today. They just did their big ribbon cutting with the Uvalde Area Chamber of Commerce. Find those photos online on the Uvalde Radio Facebook page. I'm sure the Chamber will have photos as well, too, and the Saloon Antiques has a Facebook page. You need to check that out because they've got photos of all the awesome stuff that should be in your home right now with you. So check that out, or better yet, come out here live and in person. With me, I've got Rosanna. How you doing, ma'am? Welcome.
I am doing good, Robert. Thank you for having me. I am excited to be here. I am the newest vendor. I am vendor number 3.
You're the baby. You're the new kid on the block, huh?
I am.
So had you already a relationship with Kyle and everybody else prior to you getting your vendor spot here in the saloon?
So I'm a collector of collections, and so I met everybody out at Horner's.
Okay.
And so I made some friendships, and from there, that's how I kind of met everybody.
Very cool. So, and what was the application process? What was the vetting process? How hard did you have to pull it at the pant legs or do begging to let them let you set up shop here?
Not too hard, because they're kind of fond of me. I've got a TikTok page where I make some videos.
Oh, okay.
And so that's cool. Y'all can check me out on there, Rosanna's Vintage Ventures.
Rosanna's Vintage Ventures on TikTok.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Yeah, and places like this could always use somebody who's savvy with the social media, right?
Exactly. So I'm going to be helping them with the marketing. Please like us on Facebook if y'all have not already. And we're going to be posting some new stuff on there every day. The dealers bring in new items.
So what if they were to stop by your space, what kind of items specifically do you have up for grabs there?
I love retro stuff. My style is like 70s. I do like mid-century modern, which is 50s. But right now at my spot, I've got a lot of Western items.
Okay.
I've got some Jim Beam decanters from the 60s and 70s.
Whoa!
Pretty cool.
Speaking my language now. Very cool. All right. Wow.
Yes.
So, all right. So, what is your process as far as how do you get, stocked up? Are you an active searcher? Because I see you have a little one here. That's probably hard to get out and do a whole lot of searching. Or do you have people that kind of hustle for you?
He's my helper, and I actually handpick everything.
Wow, okay.
So I go to different spots all over Texas, and I look and source unique items that are interesting to me. Something that you won't find elsewhere. You can't just... I love the antiques and collectibles because we're not like Hobby Lobby. I can find you something unique that nobody else will have.
Right, very good. Well, what are some of the most, unique or interesting things that you've come across in your history, of this kind of work?
I just love the history of everything. So a lot of older items, the photos. I've got an antique photo from 1916.
Wow.
Yes.
Do you know who it is? Is it captioned? Does it have
No,
just random
it just
people?
has the date and kind of cardboard looking, and it's got some kiddos. It's it's like a little baby on a horse.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. So now, if we were to walk inside the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles, which direction, if we wanted to go see Rosanna, where do we go? Would we hang a left, hang a right? Would we go in the middle? Where were we looking for?
So we would go straight, and then we would turn left, and then go straight a little bit more, and I am right there.
All right. And you'll be inside just kind of helping people out and answer questions?
Yes, I'll be out here today. I'll be out here tomorrow, Saturday, all day. Y'all have any questions, y'all come out and see us. We are open every day, Sunday, 10 to 5.
Now, where can we find you? I know you mentioned your TikTok, but do you have any other social media or website that you want to point people to?
Yes, I'm also on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
And what was that, Rosanna's what?
Rosanna's Vintage Ventures.
Rosanna's Vintage Ventures, and that's pretty much on all the platforms then, right?
Yeah, so on the Vintage Ventures page, you can actually see me when I go and source the items and find the unique things, usually estate sales and just all over. And my spot is actually called Rosanna's Retro Relics.
Rosanna's Retro Relics. I like the alliteration. Very good. Good stuff. Well, thank you for spending some time with us, all right? And it's been a lot of fun getting to know you guys, and I'm going to go inside and do some shopping myself, too. So
awesome.
I'll be sure to go in and hang a left and then hang a straight and then go find you.
Yes, sir.
All right, again, we're live at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles, 2429 Milam Street, here for a little bit longer. And let's go with this. I feel like this is a fitting song because we got a lot of cool old school treasures inside. This one's called Old School. It's Toby Keith, and this is UvaldeRadio.net. UvaldeRadio.net. Robert Miguel wrapping it up here at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles. I just realized it's afternoon, so we're eating into the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network News, TFB Radio Network News, your agriculture and farming news. So we're going to go ahead and resume our regular programming, and you'll be put right into the middle of the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network segment, brought to you by DKM Enterprises. Find them at dkmenterprises.com. Again, Robert Miguel just had a great time this morning at the Saloon Antiques and Collectibles. Remember, they're open till 5 today. Be sure and stop by. They're open 7 days a week. They've got all kinds of fantastic stuff. I'm about to load up the gear and go inside and take a look. Pottery, art, vinyl records, coins, cast iron, cowhides, hats, boots, jewelry, vintage toys. I just heard about a Jim Beam decanter from the old school days. So be sure and come on out here. Bring your wallet, bring your checkbook, and just do some shopping. Find a treasure for you or a loved one. You know what? It is fall, which means the holidays, Christmas is not that far away. So it's not too early to be thinking about buying gifts for the loved ones. So come on out here again. The Saloon, Antiques, and Collectibles in the old Lone Star Saloon building, 2429 Milam Street, North Uvalde. I'm Robert Miguel. We've had a great time. Thank you to Kyle and everybody involved here at the Saloon for having us out here. We now resume our regular programming. This is UvaldeRadio.net.